and welcome to another edition of Health Matters, where we are committed to bringing you quality programming under a variety of topics to bring you information, and then that information is powerful if you get an action around it. Hi everybody, I am Anna Marie Sinatra from Sinatra Solutions, your coach, trainer, workshop leader, motivational speaker, anything that I can do to help to partner with you to take you to the next level in whatever you're up to. And before I even tell you about the show, let me give you your healthy thinking tip for today. Speaking of coach and motivation, let's talk a little bit about your perception. You know, we are all human beings doing the best we can on the planet, but as we know, all we have to do is turn into the news to know that everybody sees things a different way. And I love the Franklin Covey picture of the old lady, young lady. When you take a look at this picture, really look at it and see, do you see the old lady or do you see the young lady? You know, there's both in that picture. Look at it really good. And let me tell you, no matter which one you see, you're right, because your perception belongs to you. And realizing that we all have our own perception and it's unique to ourselves individually helps us to realize something very important, that no matter whether you're seeing the old lady or the young lady, everybody is right. Everybody gets to see things from their own point of view. And now here's your second little tip with that. Let me ask you this question. Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? Because when you insist that it's a young lady and someone else is insisting it's an old lady, just use that as a metaphor in life, you make yourself right, you're making somebody else wrong. So the whole point of this is to open yourself up to other people's perceptions, because that will help you to have a much more peaceful, happy life. And use that today, because I am not above controversial subjects, as you know. And some of you, yes, you're going to get very excited today. Some of you are going to be very, very excited. I know I am about what we're going to talk about today. And some of you might think, oh, I don't believe in this stuff. But let me invite you to look at this another way. And so now, before I introduce our guest, I want to just give a shout out to Ava, who couldn't be here with us today, because it still is a crossover show. So we're just, she's here in spirit. Do you feel her next to me? Little hint on our show today. And before I introduce our guest, I just want to thank quickly our sponsors who help to make sure that this program stays on the air to bring you all this great information. And that's Wings, Flights of Hope, where Joe DeMarco is flying medical flights for sick people, whether you're a child, an adult, and even a veteran, to different places to get your emergency medical treatment. And sometimes they do compassion flights too. Western New York Imaging Group, where they have facilities all over Western New York. And especially the one that I like is at Kenton MRI, because it's an open MRI. So if you happen to be just a little claustrophobic, that will help you out there. And Matty Mattress from Mattress and More, where he stays committed on educating you on the importance of what you're spending 8 hours a day on. Some of us a little longer, some of us a little less. We won't tell any secrets here today though. But it is important, because mattresses off gas, mattresses have lots of different issues. So I myself got a pure latex mattress and learned all about it. Once I did, that's what I chose. So lots of great information. So get those pens and papers ready. And let me introduce our guest today, which is John Shred from SAGE Center. You're going to tell me that SAGE is an acronym for
the Spiritual and Growth Enhancement Center.
I love it. Spiritual and Growth Enhancement Center. And isn't that what we really want to be up to in life? Is
very much so.
Growing and enhancing ourselves.
In both directions. People think that it's only for spiritual beings. It's not. It's also for personal growth as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because we are, I like that triangle, physical, spiritual, and emotional.
Very much.
And we need to take care of all three aspects. And there's so many tools out there to help us to do that. And you're going to help to explain a little bit of what you do. And Nancy is here with you too, who I know does similar things. But Nancy, I'll let you talk about what you do too, because I know you also do Reiki, which is very powerful.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I teach it, I practice it, and love doing it. I love the teaching part because it just amazes people on what's really happening, and that they can actually do something to help their bodies to heal.
Absolutely, be proactive.
Yes,
that's what we
yes,
talk
it
about
gets
all
them
the time.
involved in their own healing, and again, it connects the body, mind, and spirit.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about what Reiki actually is, as long as you've kind of we introduced that. Tell us a little bit about what that is, and then we'll go back and talk more about the Sage Center.
Okay, Reiki is universal energy, and it's brought down through the person from God or spirit or source, whatever, and it is passed on with an attunement process from a master teacher
Which
to a
you are.
student. Yes. To the student, and they usually look at me and say, "What did you do to my hands?" Because they can then, the energy then changes and they can feel it.
Wow, wow.
So it's pretty amazing.
I know I've experienced Reiki a few different times myself, and if nothing else, when you try it, you will be completely relaxed, and you might not notice the shift. But the energy, the healing, the love, people sending out
Yes.
their love.
Yes.
You know, when I had a broken foot that the doctor said would never heal correctly, all my friends would come over to visit, and I would say, put your hand on there while we're talking and just think about sending your love and your energy. So they might not have been trained.
Right, but the intention was there, and that's 99% of healing. And it's unbelievable how it works. It really does. It still amazes me as long as I've been doing it.
Wow, wow. And so you two are partners in, the old saying, partners in crime. We'll say partners in growth, spiritual growth, and enhancement?
Enhancement.
Enhancement.
Yeah, you got it.
See, I didn't write it down. I need to write everything down. Do you have some help for when you're at a certain age and you need a little help with that memory?
I'm there.
She's saying
It's
yes.
time.
Nancy says, we can help
It's
you.
time.
We can help you.
Yes, we can help you.
We balance each other that way. What he doesn't remember, I do. What I don't
Very
remember, he does. And we just
It
work
works
so
real
well
well.
together.
Wow. Well, tell me a little bit about the Sage Center and about what you're doing.
What the center is supposed to start with is we want to bring the feeling of people that go to Lilydale, we want to bring that love up here. We can't bring the whole community, and Lilydale's there for a certain limited time. So we want to bring, and you were saying the love, and that's basically what every religion teaches is love. And we want to bring that into the center, and it doesn't matter whether someone believes in a certain God or Buddha or whatever they want to call it. You know, even if they're atheists, they can still come and feel the love of the universe in our place. And we want to do some classes, and I'm sure Nancy's going to teach a Reiki there, and we're going to teach how to get in touch with your spiritual beings and guides, and we're going to have some retail operations going on, classroom training, and an office where people can get readings and practitioners.
How exciting.
It really
and
is.
That's in the north towns, because Lilydale is way deep in the south towns.
Right.
So this really balances out. It's almost like bookends
Exactly.
for the city. Yeah, right
Exactly.
in the center. That's really nice.
And hopefully, you know, people will come and will grow, and then we can maybe branch out into other areas as well and get bigger and bigger. Because the community down in Lilydale started with just a few people gathering around a campfire and contacting the spirit world, you know, and we're all spirit. We all have it in us.
That's right. Once we leave this body and we go on to the next realm of existence, it's the spirit, not the body, that comes.
Exactly.
And Jesus talks about that all the time.
Very much so.
Yep. When he talks about the breath, a lot of people may not have studied the original language that he spoke, the Aramaic or the Arabic, if you go way back. Which was first, Aramaic, Arabic? one of the two is first, and then it comes in. But the word that we call breath, that he says breath, is really, I think it's ruah, and it means spirit.
Correct.
And if you think about it, when we pass, the last thing to leave is the breath, and that's the spirit is gone.
And I saw that on Facebook. Somebody did a study where they actually found somebody who was passing away and did cameras, and they can actually see their soul leaving their body,
Wow.
which I was amazed at. I mean, it was just amazing that our technology is that advanced now where we can catch it.
And how about how many people have died and then come back and say that they were watching from the hospital room and they could account for every single thing that was done? There's things that you just can't, sometimes we think if we can't see it, we can't touch it, we can't hear it, it doesn't exist. Oh, lady, young lady, it's there. Even though you may see only one way, doesn't mean the other things don't exist.
I know when I'm doing private readings and that, I touch into some people who, when they were here on Earth, they were, oh no, this stuff is not real. And then after they go into spirit, they say, tell my loved ones I'm sorry, because yes, it is.
Oh.
So it's very interesting.
Wow, wow. So what are some of the things that you do? How are you assisting people in their spiritual journey?
What I do is I'm getting ready to teach some classes, and I'm also doing private readings for people to help them connect to their loved ones, because I'm a medium, and that's meaning I can talk to the spirit world. And I've had it since I was a young boy. I used to be in my room for hours. And I wasn't really a loner, but I guess I was a loner because I used to talk to the people in my room all the time. So it was strange. And as I grew up, I just continued it, and I help people ease through some of the times when they leave. I had a lady who I read, and her husband, I'm sorry, I didn't read her. I met her at one of the psychic fairs that I was doing. And I went up to her, I read her daughter. I says, I have to give you a hug. And she says, okay. So she took the hug, and we started talking, and I said, your husband wants me to tell you everything's going to be okay. She goes, I know. Oh. And we just started talking, and you could see the release of her concern. It was amazing.
Wow.
It was really amazing and satisfying for me.
Wow, that's beautiful. We were talking earlier in the green room, and I was sharing about how sometimes when I could really feel the presence of my mother or my father or somebody who's gone before, and sometimes I'll even talk, like when I'm working, and I just feel that guidance so strong, and I'm prompted to say things out loud too. And sometimes I feel like is this something good that you could tell me? Because I feel like sometimes I'm like, okay, I'll say this out loud, and I feel like so it's confirmation that my dad or my mom will know that I'm hearing the guidance that I'm getting.
Exactly.
Is that really it?
And you do want to say it out loud because they're around you all the time.
Oh.
And just remember, being not confined to our physical bodies, we can go anywhere, anytime we want. When we're in our physical bodies, we have to move those physical bodies. But the spirit world, they can be here with us for 1 second and then go halfway around the world, and boom. And you're right, when you feel and you hear in your head all that stuff that they're telling you and you know it's them, that is mediumship. And then answer them out loud because they're listening.
Wow.
And people look at mediumship as something that's not right, but Jesus did it. He talked to the spirit world. He talked to his Father.
Yes,
he came back as a spirit.
All the time.
Exactly. And what do people do when they go to a cemetery? They sit at the graveside and talk to the loved one that's gone. Well, we can do that right here in the studio. We can do it at home in our bedrooms. We can do it in the shower. We can do it in the car.
Wow.
Because we're still part of that whole world.
And nobody really does know for sure. When I know one of my favorite talk shows always asks at the end of her interviewing some famous people who've written some famous books, says, what is God, and what is spirit, and what is. So if you really pose those questions to yourself, to really come up with an answer, it's like how do you not embrace so much of what's out there as a possibility? It
as a possibility, you're right. And it's the perception, like you were saying earlier. You might perceive it as someone who is crazy talking to the spirit world. I don't. you know. And I do a weekly talk show on Blog Talk Radio,
Oh.
and I posed one of those questions. I said, do you think God is male or female? Because my thing now, after all these years of thinking that God's a man, I thought, you know what, you have to have both energy to make a human being, so you must have to have both energy to be a God.
Yes.
And it's not a matter of, is it a physical male body or a female body? It's the spiritual energy.
Yep.
So I now say Mother, Father, God.
Yes.
I say it easier.
Yes. I like that too. Our Native American friends say the Creator.
The Creator.
I like
right.
the Creator. That's really nice too. And Jesus talks about that too. He says God is neither male or female. God is spirit. He says
Very
that
much
too.
so.
We've got that right from the basic text, all the way back to the Aramaic and the Arabic. So Nancy, how about you chime in on inside of this conversation too about spirit and.
Well, I work with the angels. I'm an angel communicator. I'm licensed by Doreen Virtue out of Hawaii. And basically, I do, the cards are my tools, and I intuit through the cards and what I'm feeling, what the client needs to hear that sits with me. And all these things are very healing. We always keep Kleenex on our table because there's usually a release during a reading, or there's an elation that, oh wow, you know, everything's going to be fine, everything's going to work out, because that's what I'm receiving. And there's nothing ever specific. The cards and what I get is always a situation or a condition, and it's up to the client to identify what they're being told to that particular situation. So it's not, I'm not solving their problem, I'm giving them confidence and reassurance that, you know, it's going to be okay.
And you know what I like about it? You know what I was just thinking of? It's like the end result is your relationship with God, whatever you want to call it, God.
Mm-hmm.
And however you get there, whatever path it takes to get there, it
Right.
doesn't matter. Where you start doesn't matter, but because we're all going to wind up at the, you know, when I went to Hawaii, I remember our tour guide saying, he said, if we can, the fighting would just stop if we all realize we're one race,
Mm-hmm.
the human race.
Very much.
And we're all under the same umbrella, the umbrella of God, no matter what you want to call that. And we have wars that have been fought and people being killed over young lady, old lady, what your perception is. This is the only way it is, and this is the way it's got to be, or you're out of here. Now, what's more crazy?
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why they call it universal love.
Ah.
That's the energy, that's the mass energy of the Creator, is universal love, unconditional love.
And I wonder how much of us really can experience that unconditional love, being a human being, right?
Right.
And wanting to be right, or proving your point, or seeing things from your own perspective, how we force that onto others, or do we really love and accept everybody right where they're at, which is another thing that Jesus said too, loving people right where they're at.
It's very hard to do. It really is. I mean,
I know.
I've been trying for many years, and I think I'm pretty good at it, at not allowing my own personal thoughts or ego to get in the way of things and accepting. But I find myself at times, you know, not being so accepting, and it's like, why are you so crazy? You know, in the long run, what does it matter? I have to send out that love in order to receive it. And it's one of the things that I tell people as I'm going through life and everything, be careful what you pray for. You might get it, because you have to be very specific in what you ask for, and those conditions, especially with love. Because a lot of people will be, oh, I need a boyfriend, a girlfriend, and I want love. I just want somebody to love. And then they get someone who abuses them. Well, you asked for somebody to love. Make sure you ask for somebody to love the way you want to love somebody. And then you're more apt to get a positive result.
Like Mother Teresa said, or was it Gandhi? Gandhi said, be the change you want to
Yes.
see in the world.
Yeah.
Be the change that you want to see in the world. And when you point at someone else to blame, you've got one finger pointing at them and 3 fingers pointing back at yourself. Imagine if we all took 100% responsibility for everything that's occurring in our lives.
Oh my
wow.
goodness. I can't imagine what would happen.
I'm with you, like when you said it's hard to do, it is. It really is hard. All this stuff that I teach and I train people with, I'm called to be that too, you know, practice what you preach, the old saying. And it's not the most easy thing in the world to do, but the end result, keeping the end result in mind. You know, one of the other things I was thinking about too, when you were talking about angels and spirits and things, I was thinking about my pets. First, I was thinking that I'm glad I have 2 cats and a parrot, so when I'm talking, I'm at home talking, if somebody does happen to show up at my house, and especially in the summer when the windows are all open and hears me talking, who's in there with you? My cats. I'm talking to my bird. So I've got that as a good cover. But you know, I notice, I mean, we could just be sitting there watching TV and all of a sudden my cat will pop right up and they stare at the same spot in the house. And I've cats that preceded them too, the exact same spot. And they're turning their head and they're looking. And I just sit there and watch them and think, what are you seeing?
They're obviously seeing spirit.
Wow.
Yeah. Because we're taught at a very young age that they don't exist. You know, and think about a child who's maybe 1, 2, possibly 3, they have imaginary friends. Well, they're not so imaginary. And we're taught, oh, no, that's your imaginary friend, that's your imaginary friend. So we stop seeing it. The animal kingdom, they don't speak like we do. So they don't have the filter to say, oh, no, that's not there. And they can actually see it.
Wow. Wow. So when they perk up and start watching, I could start looking too and see if I see anything.
Exactly.